Okay, thank you everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for being part of the AJL Hospitality Hub second edition of the Road to Recovery conference. Today we're going to talk about luxury rentals and the future of luxury in a post-COVID world. And before we begin, can I ask you all to introduce yourselves and first tell us about yourselves, tell us about your company, and also where have you been experiencing lockdown? Jonathan, would you like to start?
Sure. Hi, I'm Jonathan Lancaster. I'm Senior Vice President of Revenue for Natural Retreats. We're based here in the US and we're a national brand. We're currently in 15 US markets. We focus mostly on ski and beach. I oversee sales, revenue management, and market development for our company. And I'm based here in Charlottesville, Virginia. So I've been locked down here for the last 2 months with my 2 daughters, and just happy to be here. And finally, this is actually the first day I've been back in the office for the whole sort of quarantine period. Been working out of the home office.
Hi, my name is Moriya Rockman from Smiling House Luxury. Smiling House is a network of 2,500 properties in about 70 destinations worldwide, active in right now in 26 different countries. And we are hosting guests around the world as an alliance. We are actually an alliance of property owners and property managers around the world got together to make sure that we can deliver the best of hospitality in different parts of the world. And right now we are offering mainly summer and winter destinations, ski as well. The company founded about 3.5 years ago in the Swiss Alps in Gstaad. This is where I am right now, and I've been here in the last few months. And happy to say that we were not in lockdown. We enjoyed a lot with family and friends, the beautiful scenery of the Swiss Alps, and had a lot of time and positivity to keep on and developing the business. I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Moriya. And Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily Bruce-Watt, and I'm the Managing Director of Air Peace of Mind. And we are a luxury property management company based in London. We manage about 200 high-end homes, mostly across West London, some Central, and they range from 1-bed flats to 6 and 7-bedroom homes. And I have been in London in lockdown from the beginning. It's been incredibly quiet. It's getting a bit busier now, and luckily the sun's shining. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you, Emily. I do think, aren't we lucky it didn't happen in winter?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, Oliver, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Oliver Corkhill. I'm the CEO of Leo Trippy, which is a Swiss-based travel company, travel specialist. We predominantly focus on high-end chalet rentals, both in the winter and in the summer. We have offices in Switzerland, in St. Moritz, Zermatt, Verbier, also here in the UK in the Cotswolds, where I'm based, and in Moscow. I've been spending isolation here in the Cotswolds, which is not a bad place to be, I guess. Lots of outdoor space, sun's been shining, weather's been very kind to us, and predominantly working from home. But yeah, this is my first time back in the office as well today. So enjoying the space all to myself.
Great, thank you, Oliver. And Pranav, would you like to introduce yourself and your business?
Sure. So, hi, I'm Pranav. I come back from India, where I run this place called Vista Rooms. This is something which we founded in 2015 along with 2 of my partners. At Vista, we handle around 400 odd homes. All of these are more for luxury homes, private villas, which we handle over here. And very happy to be part of this community.
Thank you. And you all have luxury properties, and you have luxury clientele, or clients looking for luxury experiences and properties. It's possibly arguable that luxury guests are perhaps the least impacted during coronavirus if they've got the means of getting out of the situation. Can you give us a snapshot of how your businesses were, how you saw the luxury travel market prior to the events of the global pandemic? Moriya, would you like to start?
Sure. So in the beginning of 2020, our business, as you know, is based in the Swiss Alps, and the winter is still one of the strongest, time, or the most busy time of the year. So the year started with a booming business, and actually, I'm happy to say that it never ended. And it's just this kind of wave is just continuing for Smiling House. And we saw in the beginning of the year, before the coronavirus, we saw a lot of bookings in the Swiss Alps, in Switzerland, in France, Austria, and Italy. And then it changed, of course.
So prior, it's been a booming, great market.
Yeah, just because the season of winter for us is a big season. And so when it comes to this, the moment that the COVID hit Europe was after this season was already like blooming, and it didn't really harm the January and February, which is the main month of the season.
And are you seeing bookings for next year already?
Yes, we do see bookings for next year, but we see a lot of bookings for the coming weeks, and also for the summer. And so Smiling House is operating in different destinations, so we can see the different consumer behavior towards each market. And we sense that the summer will be good. And for the winter, I believe that we will get more bookings once after the 15th of June, once borders in Europe will get open again.
Okay, thanks. And Emily, what about you? Pre-coronavirus, how was their peace of mind, the trajectory?
So we've had a triple-digit growth year on year since we started, and that was continuing at the beginning of this year. I'd grown my team, and we were looking at a really good 2020. And yeah, the bookings were coming in. We had a lot of bookings for the summer at the start of the year. And in terms of the trajectory and the forward view, it was all going to plan, and we were scaling up and getting more properties on board. So we were definitely in a growing, scaling up phase before Corona. And then obviously things changed.
Thank you. And if we look at all your websites, you all provide a extremely high level of service to your guests beyond just the property. And many of your guests and some of your offerings require personal contact between perhaps you and your guest. How do you anticipate that changing, moving forwards? How will you meet that need of human contact, and having a host meet them at the door, let them in, show them around, concierge services, whatever it might be? How do you anticipate that changing? And Jonathan, did you want to start with this one?
There's definitely going to be changes, and I think there are a few different variables. Number one, there are going to be regulatory requirements. So not all of these decisions are going to be ours. And in the States, there are there are federal guidelines, there are state guidelines, and then there are also city and county guidelines. So we are, to a certain extent, going to have to change our operating model in order to comply to the just best practices to keep everybody safe. Second variable that really need to consider is safety of employees, which is kind of right at the top of the list. So a lot of our employees that are actually going into the homes, whether it be for a meet and greet or a maintenance call, are going to have to, be provided with all the appropriate equipment. We're going to have to put, plexiglass dividers in for, transportation to keep everybody safe and separated. And I think the other variable, which we're still trying to figure out, is what is it that luxury guests want now? Because you're always thinking that, higher touch, more personalized service, that might not be what the luxury traveler is hoping for now. That safety and distancing may be part of the luxury experience. So we're going to sort of react to that as well, but we're still learning what that's going to look like.
Can I just ask another question related to that? Before coronavirus, in your experience, was the kind of the high touch part of the luxury experience, or is that something that we just kind of presume sometimes?
Oh, absolutely. The in-person check-ins, meet and greets, walks through the home, explain the amenities of the home, face-to-face concierge service as necessary. Those are really important components in our luxury markets. And so those are exactly the things that are being challenged by the current situation. We're going to have to adapt, but there is no playbook yet, right? So we're kind of trying to figure that out as we go, with safety being the first and primary focus, and then getting to luxury travelers' desires, and trying to understand those.
Thank you. And Oliver, where are you seeing this, or how do you feel about this? What do you see might happen with your customers?
Well, I'd really echo what's been said in the sense that we don't really know what's going to come in terms of regulatory requirements. And for our company, we're an agency, so we're not physically operating the properties that we work with. So we're working with multiple homeowners who are, individually operating those. Also, lots of different operators who are running the hospitality services, who all have slightly different ideas, a lot of variables there. So I think the challenge for us is, they're all doing a great job to find the solutions that work within their environments, within their locations, specific countries. The challenge for us is learning all of those and trying to find a way to communicate that to our guests that's consistent, because there's so many variables between those companies. We, as a business, don't have a huge amount of, direct face-to-face contact with our guests. It would only be with our sort of top tier clients, where we're meeting them for lunch, talking about the requirements, maybe doing a walkthrough of a property. Those can continue to some degree, because I think it is minimal contact. It's one person showing a property, although we're not doing it at the moment. But I think the medium long-term view is that, that will return. It's really what we're doing in the shorter term. And sort of final point on it, the bookings that we've had over the last couple of months, people, maybe domestic travelers within Switzerland, renting a property in the Alps for a month, they are travelers who would typically have this full suite of services, private chef, butlers, cleaners, etc., drivers. And a lot of them have just, they sent me photos of themselves doing the hoovering, the vacuum cleaning in the properties, and they're quite friendly and fun. They sort of embrace it, but they don't want people coming in at the moment. But I think, the situation's so fluid. I think we just sort of have to go with it and adapt as we go, and make sure that we give people the right peace of mind for them, and tailor it to what people as individuals and family groups want.
And do you see increased technology helping with that, easing the anxiety?
For our company, less so. I mean, we're not a technology company. We're quite traditional in the way that we approach our guests and everything. We're sort of tech enabled behind the scenes in terms of pricing, but in terms of that, it's not something that I guess we have a real view on. It would be more the property managers to speak to that point, I think.
Okay, thank you. And Pranav, with your properties, do you see technology playing a greater role moving forwards in easing anxiety, you know, whether that's remote check-in, check-out, keyless entry, you know, that sort of thing that might take away the human touch or the need for the human contact? Is it something that you anticipate?
So here in India, the service importance given to service is very, very high. So each of our properties, pre-COVID times, we used to have a caretaker or a property manager who's actually being at the property and actually guiding the guests. So which is normally not the case, especially in these rentals across the world where I have stayed across. So those things we're yet to understand that. However, technology for us was playing an important role and will play an important role in terms of training and monitoring all the rules and regulations which we want to push as per our standards at each of these properties. Majority of them are in these locations which may not be easily accessible. Hence, pushing and adoption of technology. Otherwise there's no other option. You have to use those to get your auditing and monitoring in place. So that is where we are going to use technology as the first intervention for us, and all our caretakers, the supervisors, the property managers have a app on which all audits and checklists would be managed and is being managed, and we get all of these dashboards in our office back in Mumbai.
Okay, thank you. And in terms of, you know, cleaning a big villa in Gstaad, a big chalet in Gstaad, is going to be very different from, you know, cleaning a, you know, 2-bedroom ordinary apartment that you might have somewhere. And it might require more quality control. So do you, and Moriya, I'm going to ask you this question. Do you feel that, or do you see a need for technology in terms of the cleaning of your properties and the way you kind of manage that quality control? I mean, obviously we're not talking about robots cleaning it for you or anything like that, but about, you know, do you have an increased need for technology in terms of that side of operations?
I have a very simple and very short answer for that, and the answer apparently is no. We don't need any of the special technology that is very much in use, I think, in when you are hosting in a city, because the luxury chalets or the amazing villas we have in the luxury collection, they are maintained into the highest level of cleanliness and standards if there is a guest or if there's no guest at all. These are properties that are owned by people who want the house to be maintained to their standards, which is the highest standards in all time. Means that in many of these properties, we would have crew on spot just to maintain this property. And it's interesting also to see that the kind of guest, and I think that Oliver maybe shared the same thing with me, that reaching out to us, they are not so emphasizing on the criteria of cleaning, knowing that from their previous experience as a luxury guest, they're getting the top of the line. And this is exactly the expectation that they can expect worldwide. It doesn't matter if it's in Thailand or it's in Mykonos or it's in the chalet in the French or the Swiss Alps. The standardization of cleaning is so high in a human level, we won't need any robots for now.
Yes, thank you. And I imagine this is, you know, you'll all have the same answer to that, you know, that yeah, absolutely. But Emily, do you see any changes in how you manage quality control? Would you use technology for that, or?
We do, and I think maybe it's slightly different in the cities. I think in terms of our partners that we are working with at the moment, particularly a hotel group, they've got various guidelines now, which we will follow. But then again, with the fact that our properties are high end, that's one of my number one things is cleanliness. So we've had it in place anyway. We have just got to make sure that it's of the highest standard at all times, and we may have to abide by certain kind of criteria that will be put in place. But we don't have a problem with cleanliness as such anyway, because of, again, the standard of property we manage.
Thank you. And the luxury market is different from other vacation rental sectors, particularly in the way that properties are distributed. Do you envisage that changing after this period of time, the way properties are distributed? And also, is there any technology that you might be thinking about looking at that will help you reach new customers? Or would you, and actually you probably all have a different kind of level of direct booking compared to bookings that might come from agents or from the OTAs. But do you envisage that supply chain changing, the distribution landscape changing for you after this?
Yeah, so actually Smiling House is a preferred partners of Homes and Villas by Marriott. And since this partnership started, we recognize the huge potential of the luxury segment of vacation rental in connected to legacy travel players. It's not a secret that a lot of the property managers with luxury inventory found themselves very limited within the OTAs. It's starting from the fact that most of the OTAs are based on instant booking, and the guest journey in this segment requires a lot of communication and personal contact. And also the alternative way of payment methods beside a credit card is making it difficult for some of our guests to just put an expensive stay all on the credit card. And therefore, Smiling House took an initiative actually to connect between the legacy travel players, such as concierge companies and travel designers, and of course, travel agencies, all the ones that actually been cut out from the OTAs. And to try to connect them to the inventory of the luxury properties worldwide, because I believe this is the first time, or maybe the only time, where vacation rental can be connected to the legacy travel players. So actually, we recently launched a B2B software that allows these property managers from all around the world to connect with these travel partners. And this is very exciting moment for us, because we see that that people are in the luxury, the one hosting in luxury, actually looking for this kind of distribution that is fit to our needs, to the luxury needs. And none of the OTAs, unfortunately, answer these needs so far. So we try to partner with the increasing demand of the travel partners that obviously today in my forecast, a lot of these travel partners, travel designers, etc., will have a customer in their end that will ask more and more.
And Jonathan?
Yeah, I think I largely agree on this point. Luxury sales definitely requires a more personalized level of care. And so I think you've got a couple of options. I think direct sales are very successful if you have the marketing budget to access those clients. And then you also have the traditional travel agent and sort of luxury concierge service, which is successful here. The thing that I think is interesting as a result of COVID is that you're seeing a lot of the larger OTAs who started to dabble in segmentation of luxury product, starting to back away from it. So, we have some very good partners like that who provide high levels of sales. The question is now whether or not their change in strategy is going to affect the volume that they're able to deliver. And if so, where are those guests going to turn to? You know, I would imagine that they turn back to those traditional travel agents that have been so successful for so long. So again, the companies that have the ability to provide face-to-face or personal care, I think are going to be the ones to sort of rise post-COVID.
Absolutely, totally. And Pranav, are you seeing, how do you view this topic of distribution?
So actually about 70% of our traffic even earlier was direct, and we were relying on OTAs about 30% of them. Right now it's going to be very interesting as we talk, Jessica, because for us, majority of our traffic was captive audience here in domestic travels in India. And with the entire lockdown and the borders being sealed, we see a massive spike in this domestic travel, wherein people have cancelled their foreign travel and would definitely want to travel over here. So that is why I tend to agree to both Jonathan and Maria, that people will be reaching out directly and would want that confirmation from the brand themselves in terms of the hygiene and the standards of cleaning which one is following. Till the time you have all of these online platforms building together the reputation for each of these properties. So I see definitely for a short-term basis the demand shifting directly when people want to be doubly sure and reaching out to the brands directly rather than just relying on the OTA partners. But once the profile is built properly, I see this coming back in a nature of sort that things people will start trusting. Along with feedbacks and reviews, sanitization, hygiene will become a part of the same, is my opinion.
Okay, thank you.
So we have, just to add a point, so what we have started doing is but different OTAs will have different payment policies, payment norms. Obviously, we've put together our standardization batch for each of our properties. Along with that, we have an option called as book now, and you pay a particular amount and remaining you can pay in later. So all of those kind of customization, especially here in India, was never there earlier, wherein people wanted upfront payments. And because of now having flexible cancellation policy, everyone will start changing their policies and incorporate those kind of smaller tweaks, which will be there in abroad markets.
Okay, thank you. And then in terms of your owners, so each property is worth a huge amount, and it's a great investment or asset of your owners. Are you seeing any changes in how they are reacting in terms of whether they want to have their properties rented out to strangers? Jonathan, are you at Natural Retreats? Is this impacting you, or do you see it impacting in the future?
I think, owners are just as varied as guests. So it's hard to sort of make a sweeping generalization about how all owners are reacting. But I think we're seeing a couple of different sort of behaviors. One, a lot of luxury homeowners are using those homes. We had a fair amount of luxury homeowners actually decide to quarantine in their vacation home. So moving in for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. So that's one thing. We saw some owners that decided to take their homes off the market just because of the uncertainty. I would say that was a minority though. We did not have owners pulling out of rental programs. And I think the main reason for that is that, especially at the ultra luxe end, it's a fairly low volume, very high dollar business. A lot of these homeowners are looking for, 3, 4, 6 really, really high dollar bookings a year. And they want their homes to be used very infrequently. But they know that if they book, peak ski and holiday weeks, they can meet their financial goals. And because of that, they have faith that we'll manage those few stays to such a high standard and level of cleanliness that they're not concerned about some sort of impact on the home. So I think the confidence is fairly high, and maybe higher the more luxury you get because of the low volume.
And also they trust you as well. You know, they're trusting that you're looking after their properties.
Exactly.
So,
you know, if you prove yourself and that you're going to treat that home the way it deserves to be treated, then you're going to have that trust.
Yeah, great. And Oliver, how are you finding your owners?
Yeah,
Are they getting scared? Are they?
No, not scared, but definitely the same as Jonathan's point. A lot of the owners are using the properties themselves and have decided to move in for 3 months over the summer. It is their second home in many cases, for us, and that's what they want to use. It's their holiday home. And at a time like this, of course, they'd probably rather be in that environment than in where they're normally living. But there's always a bit of a conversation. I think the bookings that we're seeing at the moment are definitely the, top value bookings from our most regular loyal clients who are having a conversation with us. Where can we go? Where's safe? What type of property? And then it's really a negotiation with the owner. So the owner may have planned to go there for the summer. Logic might suggest that the price should be lower at the moment than it normally is. People will say it should be 50% lower because people aren't traveling. In some cases, it might be higher because the owners put a higher value on that property. So we're definitely not losing supply. I think just the context of how we get that supply changes a little bit and becomes more of individual conversations, which is why I think, to the previous question, at the moment, given that we work with a low volume of customers in general, it plays to our advantage because we're already having those conversations. We're on WhatsApp with them, talking to them on the phone, and you get much more of an insight of who you can match on a daily basis, client-wise and owner-wise, than you would through a technological solution.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And in the short-term rental industry, we've seen, in this last year particularly, or a couple of years, such a convergence within the industry. Marriott are now doing vacation rentals. We've got the master lease model, or we've had the master lease model of urban rentals. Has that conversion, and are there any other sort of aspects of that conversion, maybe with real estate, that's impacted the luxury market in your experience? Pranav, do you want to start with this one? And how is it in India? Is that convergence been the same in India?
So not really. In fact, in India, we have very limited players and it's a very nascent market. On the luxury side of it, I would say it's a two-player market right now in India. And we don't have very big brands who've still made these kind of entries. In fact, the market's grown maybe 5 or 7 times in the last couple of years, but we start with a very nascent market base as such. So we would be the largest, and the second one would be having about 150 homes. So that is where we are staring at, and total market would be about 10,000 homes in the pure luxury segment, which we are looking at. So that's definitely not the case in India over here, Jessica. So maybe I'll forward someone else to answer that question.
Okay, Moriya.
Yes, for us it's a very good question because we recognize this trend of investment in vacation rental real estate a while ago. We developed actually a unique concept that we call it rent to buy and buy to rent, where we are offering to the potential buyers to experience the property in a very special way, where they can, getting to know the local school and the bartender in the next bar and hearing the sounds of the birds in the morning. And we think that it's a great opportunity that you cannot compare with just visiting a house for 15 minutes with some real estate agent. This way the people are discovering every inch of the property itself, and we see that the opportunity of the homeowners that reaching out to us the potential buyers that reaching out to us, they would like to stay homeowners of a vacation rental. So when it comes to this, we can reveal to them the numbers and the yield forecast. And that's making, of course, the property much more interesting for them for an investment. And at the same time, of course, they can keep on traveling, keep on enjoying the property for their own needs. So we see huge increasing of demand of interest from guests that would like to buy the property they experience as a vacation rental. Not always it's possible, not always it's in their budget, but then we would be able to offer them something in the same, same level, or something that's suitable to their budget. We also have a very good connection with the local bank here in Switzerland that will allow then, to help them to finance. And this is an interesting part specifically in Switzerland. In many parts of the country, it's impossible for a foreigner to buy a house. Where in the places where we having our properties, in the touristic places, it's actually possible. So this is another great point. And the greatest part is that this kind of people will trust us, as just you mentioned to Jonathan, to continue and to maintain the house in their level with their furniture, whatever heart they will put into it and money they will put into it in a fair way, and that will make this house make some money and still be available for their vacation.
Thank you, Moriya. And earlier, Jonathan, you talked about that, your guests we might see an increase in specialist travel agents or travel concierge booking trips. And it's actually interesting because, I've worked in travel for 20 years. And when I started in travel, travel agents were really common. And then, this is kind of before OTAs and, really before the internet almost, not quite. But when the internet kind of came about, it was like, that's the end of travel agents. It's the end. We don't need them anymore. But that's not been the case. Travel agents, whether it has been through OTAs or whether it's still, very high-end concierge, as well as we still have high street, travel agents. It hasn't disappeared. There is still a need for hand-holding through a booking process or bringing all the elements of a package together. And it's just interesting from all of your perspectives, do you see that increasing? Because there's opportunities for adding, more to each booking if you're adding, the transport in, or, even day trips or chefs, private chefs or whatever. And Emily, are you seeing, in Air Peace of Mind and with London, is this part of your strategy, do you think, for adding more into a trip or into a booking?
I definitely think there's an opportunity for this. I think we do on occasion, but I think there's an opportunity for this going forward, particularly now that we've partnered with Marriott. That whole sort of guest, their members, that hotel-like sort of concept they've got in their head. That can be reflected in what we can offer them, and yeah, also just I think there's a way in which it can be quite personal in terms of people that are coming to London for the first time. There's a lot that we know as locals. I've lived here all my life on and off, that we can share with them and offer them. I definitely think there's an opportunity for it, and it's definitely something that's in our roadmap for sure.
Great. And Emily, what do you see as the next big disruptor for luxury travel?
It's a really interesting question. The master lease, obviously, that's come into play, but then obviously with State Alfred, that's recently run into trouble. I'm really interested to see how Marriott and whether more hotel groups come on board, and whether they are the next kind of disruptor, for a number of reasons. I think that the short-term rental industry, particularly in bigger cities, are likely to come back from this quicker possibly than hotel groups, and therefore with the hotel groups move into this space in order to pick up the potential opportunity. So I'm really interested to see what happens in that area for sure.
And definitely, if hotels see that short-term rentals are perhaps a bit more resilient. So, Jonathan, you're obviously not in cities, you're not in London or wherever. So what about for your market? What do you see?
As a disruptor, maybe this is a bit of a cheating answer, but I mean, I think COVID is the disruptor. And that is changing so much right now that people are going to have to respond to. And I think it's the thing that is maybe putting a hole in the armor of the OTAs and the marketplace models, and sort of making people take a step back. I think it's taking a lot of companies that were pumping a lot of money into automation and making them think about cutting costs and dialing things back, which really opens an opportunity for more traditional luxury approaches. So I think we've seen the disruptor, and the exciting thing now is to see how people respond to it. And I think the next year is going to see massive changes in the luxury space. And it's exciting to me.
It is exciting. And then, you know what, I'm going to ask this question to all of you, because you all have you're all operating in different places with different, it's different, just because luxury is, of course, not just across the board. But Oliver, what in your view is the next disruptor?
Yeah, I don't really think I think in the short to medium term, there actually won't be one. I think it will be simplicity in what people are doing. I think it will be going back to that more traditional approach. I think obviously a lot of companies have laid off staff within the travel sphere recently. And I think a lot of those people will be, putting their thinking hats on and saying, what can I do to carve out some clients within this space? I'm talking about that sort of, 5,000 a night and upwards properties that we tend to, specialize in. And I think there'll be people really, really showing clients that they can take them on a journey, not hold their hand literally, but help them along and guide them through their bookings, and really give them that specialist knowledge of where they're going, and teach them about destinations. And then connecting that with your previous question, I think we'll see sort of a bit of an amalgamation within the traditional, tour operating, not package travel, but, creating more of a journey and connecting that with whether it's a villa or a chalet, an island, whatever that rental may be. People used to rent those things with a chef and all these services and be quite content with that as a, satisfying trip. I think people want to get far more out of that trip and learn more about the local destination, see more things. And I think that the companies that can enable that to happen will be the ones that really thrive.
Okay, thank you. And Moriya, next big disruptor for luxury?
Yeah, I actually would like to answer the two questions. For me, the answer is that we will see much more property managers united together and starting to create some kind of strengths, and focusing on, there will be less activity in the cities and more requested areas, even in rural and getaway destination, but focusing on the real luxury segment. I think that we see that we be able finally to reveal and to make it available a whole options of luxury worldwide, and like mentioning before, to make it a product that can be easily offered to these third parties, this professional of the travel industry. I'll take it one step ahead in the forecast, and I think that the countries themselves, I'm talking about the tourist office of a country like Spain or Switzerland, will discover this product and will expose it through local tourist office and even in international fairs as a way to experience local hospitality, authentic and luxurious. I think that we will, and we as Smiling House already been offered many times, and we are working hand in hand with the Swiss tourist governmental office and other organization, where we're standing next to the greatest big hotels, luxury hotels, and offering the chalets and the villas. And I think we will have to expect this to happen, but we should also help it to happen by looking at what we have at inventory, not as a place to book, but as a product, a unique product that in the country focus it be something to show and to that people will reach out to this authenticity. And about the question of before, where you ask about if we should offer more services. So I think it's important, and we will gain more trust for the hospitality management companies to take and do more upselling when it's come to, to add a chef or a driver and all these concierge services. But we definitely should not replace the professional and start to be busy with doing one-man shows, ordering also the flights, etc. I think we should be, if already, focusing on top of all these concierge services that it's very important to our guests with unique experience on spot in every market. Because this is the thing that make the journey and the stay of the guest authentic and remarkable, and we should not forget about that.
Right, thank you. And Pranav, what do you see? What's the next disruptor in luxury, in your opinion?
So Jessica, I in fact tend to agree with Jonathan somewhere. I think COVID-19 is more like a reset. It's a forced reset on most of us, which we talk about, especially in markets like India, wherein organized and unorganized sectors were very major, wherein 10% would be organized and 90% would be unorganized. We see that being shifted. Something like big fat Indian weddings, which is itself would be about $100 billion market. We see that being shifted, wherein now we have a regulation wherein you can't have weddings of more than 50 people. So people have started using our properties for these kinds of occasions. People tend to used to stay about for 2 nights or maximum 3 nights in our properties, which we have. Most of these properties are weekend getaways. Right now, because of lack of any major vacations, we've started seeing those average number of nights increasing to about 4 or 5 is something which we've started doing. So for us, this definitely is a major reset. And according to me, it's a permanent reset. This is how people will start traveling, at least in near future. If you take by our government, wherein I personally feel the entire globalization theme is something which is going to suppress for some time, and it is going to be very localized kind of a scenario. For us, it's going to be all about experiences. So that is something as a journey which we had already started on, and we'll keep building on top of it. That can be weddings, that can be engagement, that can be anniversaries, that can be anything. We've had companies right now. One more interesting phenomena, because a lot of our homes are close to financial cities, which we are part of. Because of the entire work from home concept, people are ready to just book a home for a longer term, which is say maybe a month long, and get their teams to work from there. So lot of newer use cases, something which comes up. And for me, this is disruption.
Thank you. And before we finish up, are you all starting to see green shoots?
Yeah, I think we're starting to see, I mean, there's a lot of pent up demand in all the markets because of the seasonality and the way that states are opening up. We're seeing most activity in beach markets. Ski is kind of holding off. You know, we normally don't hit booking season for that until maybe like in August. So we're still waiting to see how that's going to roll back. But beach is booming, and as soon as regulations lift in a market, the demand is there. So no concerns about that. The guests are ready.
Mm-hmm. Great. And Emily, are you seeing green shoots in London?
Yeah, we are. We're starting to get a number of inquiries now for August and later on in the year, and yeah, and then some of the bookings in the summer are still there. I'd say about 50% for August is still there. So yeah, we're starting to see a glimmer of light.
Great. I can't wait to get to London myself.
Can't wait to see you.
Moriya, what about you? Green shoots?
Yes, of course. We've been working hard the last few months, and our business been increasing and show a lot of growth. We were not really harmed so much from the COVID. We changed a bit of the attitude and addressing more local travelers in each market we are busy with, and this is giving us it's an interesting process because it's giving us a kind of insights of the cultural behavior of each traveler in his own country. And I'm happy to say that a lot of people are happy to discover some unique properties or unique places, parts of their country they never visit. And but it's still giving us a lot of insight about how they are behaving, and we will be probably more ready when they will be able to travel international again. Another thing that is interesting is because we are dealing many times with, you can call them jet setters, it's look like this kind of people, this kind of travelers, they have more confidence about the fact that they will be able to travel maybe sooner than other, and they are doing their plans and start to show interest in bookings also towards next year, this summer, and of course the ski. So all in all, it's very, very positive. And I just see another segment we didn't really touch all the way, and we recognize it as one of the things that we definitely should be busy with, and there will be a lot of demand for it. And this is the getaway, the real getaway destination. You know, I call it nature as your neighbor. I believe that more and more families would like to travel together as a big family, like 3 generations, or with their best friends, and then they want to stay in the house when the biggest luxury in it or around it is the fact that it's solitude, that it's wonderful with fresh air. And I think this is, for me, the new luxury, and we should be all focused on that as well.
Thank you. We're not all going to be trying to get away from our families after this lockdown and going on solo trips. But no, great. Thank you very much, everyone. It's been really great to have you, and you know, really wonderful. So thank you.